Working for someone is the worst way to make an income, but also it's where you get all your experience. I hired someone who already did what I wanted to do. It never made sense to me to go 200 grand in debt to make 100 grand a year. Like, if you don't have sales, you have nothing. I'm better than them. They were weak. I just wish I could just create content and do what I want to do, because I feel like there's a level there that I can. I don't want to be known as the person that will haggle by any means.
Hey, can I ask a little favor? If you've gotten any value out of the Coach Kettles podcast, if you've enjoyed the guests that we've had on, the simple and free way to show that support is to hit that subscribe button. And my commitment to you is to go out and find the best coaches, do the best interviews, pull out the tips, the tricks, so that you can create the coaching business of your dreams. So if you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button. That allows us to continue doing what we do. Have a great day. What is up, my friend? Welcome to the Coach Kettles podcast. We are in season 4, and I'm your host, Trevor Wittwer. And on today's episode, I have Jared Hamilton of Hamilton Train. Now, this was an incredible episode. Not only did Jared build $1 million business, he then burned it down to build the business that he truly wanted to build. And so we talked through that whole backstory, how he built it, the tricks, some of the tactics that he used in order to get there. And then at the end of the episode, he told me about a really cool experience that, had an imaginary friend who happened to be his 80-year-old grandfather that gave him some advice. So you're gonna have to listen to the whole episode to get it. But super excited for you to listen to this episode with Jared Hamilton. Jared Hamilton, welcome to the Coach Kettles podcast.
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm super excited to have you on. And we've gotten to know each other a little bit, but I've never really gotten to know kind of your backstory. And this whole season is all about kind of highlighting coaches that are having a ton of success in the online world. And you're one of them. So I want to dig into that and see if we can pull out some nuggets for coaches that are looking to get into this space. So let's go way back just from like a coaching perspective. And so let's just talk, how long have you been coaching? If you had to add up the years, coaching of any means.
Yeah. So professionally, like 13 years. I went right out of high school, went to college. And as soon as I started doing college courses, I became a personal trainer. So my journey started actually building an in-person training business on accident. It's funny, every step of my professional journey was all an accident. It never was how I planned it. But even before I was professional, in coaching and training people, I did it before it was I was an adult. All I ever known is coaching, in some capacity, even before I went to college. So I was an awkward homeschool kid, right? So I never went to public school. So, but everyone says dude, did you wrestle? Were you a football player? Cause I'm just a tree stump with limbs. But I didn't, but because I was just a homeschool kid, I never played sports or had hobbies. I got involved in martial arts at a really young age. When I was 14, our local martial arts school, I got really involved, and I ended up was at the school every day. I finished doing my stuff and I would literally go train. So that was my first introduction to fitness. Before gym fitness, it was martial arts stuff. But then I excelled in that. And then I became one of the better ones at the school, and I competed and all this stuff. And then I got hired as an assistant instructor. So I was teaching, I'm 17 years old, teaching classes, doing one-on-ones, preschool to 70 years old. But it wasn't coaching, but it was a level of teaching kids how to kick, understanding how to turn your hip to break boards and stuff. I was doing stuff like that when I was just in high school. So even before it became my thing here, I was doing a level of coaching and teaching as a high schooler. Then I became a personal trainer. Then one thing to the other. So all I know is working with people and coaching in some capacity or the other.
So when you went to school, university, was your intention an exercise science or a physical therapy, or what was your intention there?
PT. So it's funny is I had no inclination of doing fitnessy things. I wasn't passionate about anything either. I have a bunch, especially growing up because of martial arts stuff and some health things, I always had musculoskeletal issues. I'm hypermobile as fuck. I have had a dislocated collarbone. All these things were going on. So I spent plenty of time in chiro and PT offices. Yeah. So I guess maybe this would be a route I can make okay money. And then it's kind of, I'm already used to the patient side of it. So I originally went to school to be a physical therapist. But then right around that time is when they changed the requirement to get a PhD. And it never made sense to me to go 200 grand in debt to make 100 grand a year. It never made sense. And especially it was like, what my thought was, what can I tolerate the most going into like a career, which is like the worst way to view any of this. So I decided I didn't want to do that, but that was the route I was going. But thankfully I came across exercise science stuff, and the course that, or the class, the Jew class that changed everything for me was a kinesiology class, and I remember it was Hyper 216, Current Concepts in Physical Fitness. So I took this kinesiology class, fell in love, got like a crazy nerded out about just how the body works. But then when I was in that other class, it was basically NASM partnered with the school I was going to and did like a 16-week curriculum on becoming a personal trainer. And I would go, this is fun. So we did like practicals, like they partnered with a local gym. So we would like program design for our colleagues in class, and we would literally play trainer. And then you could get certified at the end of the semester. So I go, oh, this is so much fun. I've always had this. Since I was a little kid, I've always been entrepreneurial. I was like wintertime going door to door to shovel driveways for $20. Like I would like try to flip stuff all the time. So there was always this entrepreneurial bone in me. Then I found personal training and it was game over. So that's when I built my in-person training business. And it went from like side hobby in college to like, oh, I don't think I need to go back to school. So I never actually got any bigger credentials than an associate's degree. I'm like, I'm done. School's stupid. It's a scam. Like outside of like doctor, lawyer, I'm going to go full entrepreneur. And and that's what happened ever since.
I love it. So did you kind of go big box route right away? Were you going into that type of format, or are you more in like a smaller boutique style gym?
All of it. I literally, well, because personal training, I didn't know business at all. And if anyone knows any business, working for someone is the worst way to make an income. But also it's where you get all your experience. So I was working for 3 different gyms at once. Actually, at one time I was working for a multi-million-dollar YMCA, a giant university gym like Indiana University, where I'm from, a mom and pop, like a little hole in the wall, like I pay them their rent, they leave me the hell alone, that kind of thing. And like they didn't have personal trainers on staff. It was like a little bodybuilder style gym. And then because I was still broke, I also was working construction part-time, managing a Papa John's, and working at GNC. Same time.
And then trying to fit in a few hours of sleep between all of that.
And then I thought I was a bodybuilder, so then I was also trying to prep for a show. like it was a mess, man. But otherwise, and going to school, like I was like a psycho. But it was one of those things where the commercial gyms fed me clients, like these YMCAs and all this. But I was literally making $12 an hour. Like they're charging $150 a session, paying me $12 an hour. But then I knew the magic was my in-person, my independent stuff. But that took forever to build because I was responsible for everything. And I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to brand. I just knew if I was on that floor 12 hours a day with a branded shirt and I shook hands with every member, I got clients. And then I transformed whoever's in front of me, and then like word of mouth spread and I became the local GOAT. And as business started building, I was dropping those other jobs. Like I was never the burn the boats, let's just figure it out. Like that makes me have anxiety. So for me, I would make more money training. I would like, all right, buy Papa John's, make more money, do well, buy construction, start doing a little bit more, buy GNC. And I literally was just like slowly chipping these off, kind of Gary Vee style, like he used to talk about. And then before I knew it, I was like, oh, I'm actually doing this thing now. And then I basically built my personal training business to like 200 sessions a month. Like it was 438 and 9P. And then this was right before COVID. And so I brought on because this was also when I transitioned online. I hired a mentor. I wanted to quit running the grind of in-person training. And then I slowly started, like, as I built my online stuff, I started growing a following and started transitioning online. But I didn't just cold turkey in person. I basically like did the same thing. I'm like, okay, let me start to bring on online clients and hybrid clients as I drop my personal training hours. And I slowly made that shift there as well. And then I brought on, but like I still had this crazy demand in person. Like, dude, I come up from a small town of like 14,000 people. But if you were like a gangster at what you did, like everyone knew about it. Like I couldn't go to Walmart without like 4 people stopping me, asking me how to get their kid to jump higher and how to lose weight. I did it right. I did the in-person thing right. Like in the same gym, I was charging almost like 3 to 4 times what other independent contractor trainers were charging in the same gym. And they were mad because they couldn't do anything about it, but I had that kind of demand. So I think that's also why I've had so much success online, is because I've taken that brick and mortar feel and vibe and approach to an online business that has more potential to scale. But otherwise, that's kind of where that went. And then I scaled out from there.
So so you have this blossoming in-person, right, practice, right? Why move into the online space? Like, what was the impetus to do that?
I was burned out. I got tired of trading I basically was making good money, but still dollars for hours. I was still trading X much money for a session or whatever, which was great. But then I think it's just kind of like the pivot I recently went through. My desires changed. I think as we play this game, as you grow, what was your 10 out of a 10 is not your 10 out of a 10 anymore. I remember my first mentor I ever hired, so great friends to this day, is actually, for those that know, it was Jordan Syatt, was my first business mentor ever, back when he was still taking on in-person or one-on-one clients. Like, this is so far back. And he goes, do you think you'll ever not train in person? I go, no, I will always be a personal trainer in person to some extent. Now you couldn't pay me enough to train someone in person. There's just, there's not enough you could pay me to do it. So it got to the point where just my desires changed, as well as what I enjoyed doing the most. And that's when I got online, and I started building that out. And then it got to the point online, I had the same thing happened. So that's when I started going the assistant coach route and hiring coaches and things like that. And then that basically got to the point where we recently chatted, and now I pivoted again. So, but I think that's just the evolution of how a person operates.
So once you had this idea that, hey, I want to go online, right? This is too much. I don't see my future in, in-person stuff. What was the first step that you took to start moving in that direction?
I hired someone who already did what I wanted to do. Like, literally, as soon as I decided this, I literally paid Jordan. He had a thing, and I go, I want to work with you. And so, because I didn't know anything about building a brand, creating content, any of this stuff. So the very first thing I did was hired a coach who had specifically did and was in the trenches of what I wanted to do.
Right.
That was my classification. And then right around then, I started creating content, because you could be the most amazing coach ever, but if no one knows you exist, you can't solve their problems. So I started creating content. That was the biggest thing. So I started posting every day. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. So my first styles of content was like X on the left, wrong way to do deadlifts, check mark on the right way to do deadlifts. It was all like that, but that's where I started. Then, and then I started to go, oh, people respond to these kind of posts and these and that kind of thing. And then I started slowly building the online business or things like that. So.
Did you have a specific niche right away, or were you just like, hey, I'll help anybody that needs help? Or did you have a little bit of a focus when you were moving into the online world?
Coming from a personal trainer background, it was all about workouts. So that's why all my content was workout stuff. Like, I was doing, I was such an idiot. I was literally changing people's programs every single week and all the things. And it was all workout focused. It was 90% training, 10% nutrition, pointing in the right direction. It was more online personal training versus online nutrition coaching.
Got it. So then, now you're kind of known for a completely other side of the spectrum, right? With nutrition and emotional eating and a lot of that kind of stuff. So when did you kind of start figuring out? So you got some traction with the workout piece. So you're in the game. When did you have a shift on hey, I maybe need to do something a little bit different? So
I started to I still incorporate nutrition stuff, but it was never this main focus. I also had this weird belief that I'm not even sure where I picked it up from, that when I started building, the first couple of years of merging online into this, is I had the belief that no one would pay for nutrition coaching. Because nutrition coaching, you make one or two adjustments, and for your average person, you may not touch their stuff for a while. So I had this belief of that. So I basically kept it really flashy with workouts and check-ins and da-da-da-da-da. So I was working myself way more than I needed to. But that's what I thought you had to do. And it was the only way I thought to help people. But then I learned more and educated myself and all those things. So as I learned more myself, I started merging nutrition in. And then it got to the point where it kind of flipped, where it was almost all nutrition coaching and like some workouts, but it was not the main thing. But then that's where I hit my stride. I hit my stride when I became known as the sustainable fat loss guy. Like that's all it was. That was my niche. It went even away from like talking about as much strength training. It was like, it was all calorie deficit content. It was like, here's how to eat your favorite foods and lose weight. Here's how to like not work out every day and lose weight. It was very, very surface level sustainable fat loss. And I did that for years and it worked. It was great. But again, as you know, our awareness and consciousness and growth happens, around that time, I started doing my own stuff. I started going to therapy. I started getting heavy into personal development. I started really starting to understand psychology. And then I started to do my own internal exploration. Like a lot of like, oh, maybe I do hide my own emotions, not with food, but with work. Or maybe my relationship with food isn't the best, or maybe whatever. Because mind you, I also went through a bodybuilding stint where I thought like all the old stuff. And, you know, I had not the greatest relationship with food and all these things. But it wasn't until I really started diving into my own personal development and therapy and all that stuff. And then I basically, this is where the flip switched. I started not feeling as good about what I was doing. I started to like not love the sustainable fat loss stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this works. I'm making money. I'm helping people. But like, it wasn't like the 10 out of 10 it was. But then I got quiet and because whenever I'm like at this, like I feel misaligned, I don't make any decisions. I actually get really introspective. I call them Jared sabbaticals. I'll go like have a weekend in an Airbnb by myself. I literally don't even like take my wife and I'm just with my own thoughts and stuff to see what comes through. And then I noticed a pattern because of what I learned from psychology and personal development and my own stuff. I started doing some of the stuff that I do now, like the dieting from the inside out stuff, unintentionally. Like what I mean by that is in past history, someone would come into the program and I'm like, cool, let's just do the sustainable fat loss thing, get Mrs. Jones to lose weight while she eats donuts and drinks wine. But then I go, oh no. Like I would start her on the journey. I go, uh-oh, Mrs. Jones has a horrible relationship with food. Well, fuck. I know I can't get her to do what she needs to do to lose weight if she's binge eating every other day. But because of what I learned in personal development psychology, I'm like, okay, I'll fix her relationship with food real quick. I'll do these like psychology things. And then I'll get her on the fast track to weight loss. Boom, she's good. Then Mrs. Smith would come in go my way and I go, we'd be doing really well. But then all of a sudden she'd start sabotaging left and right and emotional eating because of her inner game. And I go, damn it. Okay. Let me fix her inner game real quick. Let me teach her how to handle emotions separately from food. Let me do all this like other stuff that I learned again in psychology and personal development and therapy and all this stuff. So I could like fix her stuff real quick. Boom, fast track to fat loss. But then that became the norm. I go, oh, all these deeper inner game issues, one is what I prefer to fix. I have so much more fun and fulfillment helping these deeper levels. One, no other coach does this. I was getting referrals from other coaches and people tell me like, oh, I was working with this coach, but they told me just they couldn't help me with these deeper things. But then I got really good at that. And then I go, oh, I think this is it. And then after a lot of introspection, I go, oh, this is where I want to be at. Because there was basically I go, man, I just wish I could somehow combine this like sustainable fat loss stuff and inner game stuff. I just wish I could like bring these together, but no one's done that. No one's done that. And I got so excited because I don't know about you. I don't know anyone else that really like hyper specializes and fixates in this little niche. And then dude, fast forward to present day, dude, it's wild. Like I have therapists that hire me. Like actually one of the biggest, I just brought on a therapist that works with me, that she has a whole practice in Canada. I was on the phone with someone else who has a PhD in psychology. All these other like super, like other coaches hire me a lot and stuff. And it's wild. Like fast forward, like people with way more credentialing in what I teach are having me help them because there's like a niche in here that no one's touched. And it happens to be my favorite thing. But then from a client success standpoint, like I almost feel like I have to be careful because of like the stuff. Like I have a lady I'm working with right now, she's 80 doing online coaching, 7 decades of binge eating gone in 6 weeks, or someone who's struggled their entire life with binge eating and their relationship with food gone in like a month, or all this like wicked stuff going on, like generational diet culture bullshit fixed in like 2 or 3 months. It's wild, and I'm the one doing it. And it's crazy to watch. It's kind of weird just how the journey has just like gone, and now we're here. So
my favorite thing about Coach Catalyst.
My favorite thing about Coach Catalyst.
One of the things I love most about Coach Catalyst.
There are lots of things I love about Coach Catalyst.
And the reason why I love Coach Catalyst is that
the accountability off the back of that
is simplicity.
The support is amazing.
It allows me to give so much of me to my clients.
It's the drip feeding of content.
I can schedule lessons for my clients in advance.
Game changer for freeing up time.
It gives me my time back.
It's so simple and so easy.
Hi, I'm Kane, the founder of Coach Catalyst, the #1 accountability and communication software on the market today. We help coaches just like you keep their clients accountable and scale their business beyond what they've ever been able to do before. So if that sounds like something you want, let's take a look at how we can help. So Coach Catalyst was built on the 4 C's of coaching. Those are content, communication, community, and consistency. So for content, you need to go beyond just workouts and deliver the whole experience for the client so they get the results they deserve. For communication, you need to own your communication. If you don't own the communication, you don't own the client. So make sure you stop texting clients and use a centralized platform. For communities, get off of Facebook groups and take ownership over your social group with Coach Catalyst communities. And for consistency, the foundation of all results for clients, we took the best-selling book Atomic Habits and built all these fundamentals right within our app that's going to guarantee to get your clients the best results possible. If you want to start using the 4 C's with your clients, content, connection, community, and consistency, make sure you run over to Coach Catalyst and start a free trial today.
Well, I mean, you've kind of just followed, in a way, your interests and where your interests are evolving as you evolve as a coach as well. And it kind of sounds like you're kind of just taking a lot of your personal experiences. Like, that's probably why you've been able to get really good at this, is because you kind of had to go through it yourself in different aspects, and now being able to teach it versus just learning it from, text.
Yeah, completely. I totally agree with that.
So let's go back to the beginning. When you first started, what was the model? Was it just one-to-one?
In personal training?
No, right when you got online.
Yeah, so actually the first model was I didn't have a following. So the only thing I had access to was my in-person clientele. So what I did was I actually tried to build a hybrid model where, because again, I didn't have leads. I didn't know what leads were.
Right.
I didn't know any of this stuff. So I basically had this overwhelming amount of one-on-one clients that were paying me like from a per session basis. So I basically created like a hybrid program where I go, cool, let's have, instead of 3 sessions a week, let's save you money. Go to 1 session a month where I just walk you through your entire plan, and then we'll online coach all between. And then that's like how I approached it with as many people who would jump. And I had a bunch of people jump on that. So now I just got, 15 hours a week back, for example, because I was maxed, dude. I was capped at what I could do. So I'm just trying to find ways to make this merge happen. And so then I basically like publicly announced I'm no longer accepting in-person training clients. I'm doing this now. And then what would happen is, as people would come in, I would put them right into online, or right into one-to-one online, or one-to-one in a hybrid where it was like a session per month, online coaching between, that kind of thing. It was a lot, but it was I didn't know what else to do. And but otherwise it was all predominantly one-to-one. So like weekly check-ins and stuff.
Looking back on what you know now, would you do it the same way? It seemed like a pretty smart transition.
It would model similarly, but I would have it completely different. I would be much more strategic. I would have numbers. I would have like an actual formatted thing, versus before I was just like, yeah, let's kind of do this, versus now it would be an indefinite. This is how the program works, is for the first whatever, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do da-da-da-da-da-da. So, but then also knowing what I know about now about how to create leads out of nowhere and how to go about like building relationships and stuff like that, I would have a lot of that stuff in there, because otherwise I didn't know any of it. All I knew is I just need to meet a bunch of people, and then they would over time ask me what I did. I didn't know how to talk to people or gauge interest. I didn't know any of that stuff. So I would have a framework around all of that now, knowing what I know now.
Right. And so, cool. So how did that model evolve as you got busier and busier online? Was it like, okay, I'm just going to hire coaches? Because I mean, that's one model, right, that we can scale, is by hiring other people to coach people. Or did you do something different?
So once I got online, and after like I was online solo by myself for a while, I thought the only way to scale was with the assistant coach model. I truly thought like, okay, I want to grow this thing. I was not aware. I didn't even think of any other way to do it. Because I also I actually back in the day, because I was working with Jordan, I actually tried scaling one-on-one and a group at the same time. That was really difficult. So I did have a low ticket group, and I never had this absurd following. So that didn't work as well. I was charging like $10 a month, like something like that. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, like super low. Like, I want anyone to be able to afford it. Well, I literally.
Right.
The amount of people who are like, I can't afford $10 a month. It's you're attracting that the dollar, the dollar menu crowd. And so that didn't work as well, but otherwise when it came to scale, I thought the only way to do it was by hiring a team. So that's what I did. I started bringing on assistant coaches and then just teaching them what I knew. And then lather, rinse, repeat, and kind of built a system around that. And then as I hired more mentors and, learned more about business and stuff, then we started scaling a little bit differently, like actual specific processes and things like that. But otherwise, I started bringing on assistant coaches because that's what I thought I had to do. I thought it was the only way. I thought like, well, I guess if I want to grow, I have to do it this way. So I'm going to do it that way. So,
And you were bringing in enough leads to be able to kind of feed that many people?
Well, I did it slow. I did one. And then when I ran that for a while, then I brought in two.
Yep.
And then I never brought in, it wasn't until towards the end of that, I brought in them faster. And it was because I literally couldn't place people fast enough.
And what were where were the leads coming from at that point?
So since the beginning, I've always had like the big boy stuff in place. I've always had email, like an email list. I've always had full blown automation sequences in place. I mean, to be honest, that was one of the first things that when I started with Jordan, that was one of the first things he taught me to put in place was an automation sequences in email. But otherwise, most of the leads were either coming in via, they were coming in like top of funnel on like Instagram and TikTok. But then but then they would get really nurtured in email. So I would make pitches in both places. So it would do both of those.
So how would you move someone from social media to your email list?
I had a lead magnet. I had a 5-day course. So I went through several like ebooks or courses or whatever. I just had a lead magnet, and then there were pitches in the auto sequence after the lead magnet.
And then they would lead into your coaching program.
Yep.
And then for your coaching program, what was your kind of sales process? Were you the only sales guy? Were they getting on a call with you, or were you able to bring in a team member to that role as well?
For the longest time, it was me, and I had no idea how to do sales calls. Like literally, I had no idea. Like I'm just like, so what's going on? Okay, it's this much. Do you want to do it? Like it's wild. I made any money. Like it was so bad for so long. But that was one of the last things I gave up. So at the peak of scaling the one-on-one coaching assistant coach model, I did bring in a salesperson. I did, because it got to the point where I literally couldn't do on the business stuff because I was in the business every day on sales calls, which was a great problem to have. But then it also got to the point where I got really good at that point, I'm the main guy, and I'm doing all of it, and I've had this many years. So I was really good at the sales calls. So that was the last thing I gave up. And then I brought on a sales guy. So
if you had to give advice to someone new or someone maybe a little afraid of sales, what would be kind of one or two pieces of advice to help them with the sales call?
Get over it. Like become a killer. Literally, like if you don't have sales, you have nothing. You could, I see so many people that live by the adage of, oh, if I'm good at what I do, the sales will happen. No, it's an absurd amount of massage therapists, chiropractics, offices, doctor offices, attorney offices. They're the best at what they do. Personal trainers, the same way. You're the GOAT, but no one knows you exist, and you don't know how to have a sales process or close, and then you go out of business. Like it is ridiculous the amount of people who are fantastic at their thing, but they don't know sales. They don't understand how to do it. They don't know how to conduct themselves. They don't know how to ask the right questions, when to lean in, when to lean out, tonality, this kind of stuff. And it not being like manipulative or anything, but there's a structure to sales, and there's kind of like, there's a cadence with it, and there's a posturing and all this stuff. And if you don't have that, you're going to be poor. So it's one of the most important things. I wish I would have poured into it earlier on, because it doesn't even matter if, like, let's say you don't even do sales calls, you're selling constantly, getting people to, like if people can't get enough people to go get a free lead magnet, how the hell do you think you're going to get them to pay you money? You know what I mean? Like if I launch a free thing and I'm like, oh, that didn't go well, I'm like, was it the thing or was it my approach to it? Because if I can't get them to get a free thing, there's no way I was going to get them to get the paid thing. So it's everything.
So were there any resources or mentors or ways that you kind of started to hone in your sales game?
Yeah. I mean, every mentor I've ever had, because I've had a handful of cornerstone mentors over the years that really helped with that. But then I just dove deep into like learning from other salespeople and sales organizations. But it's funny, I went from like pendulum, like side to pendulum side. Like when I started getting into like outside of the fitness space with just sales information in training, I went like Grant Cardone for a while, and I was a straight like. I felt gross. Like I know some people love Grant, but like I even went to like some like one of his like big boot camps and stuff, and it wasn't my cup of tea. But then I'd swing like the other way and all this kind of thing. Right now, my favorite sweet spot is with what's it called? NLP. NLP is my favorite style of sales. Neuro-linguistics programming. Yep. It's my favorite, but because my sales game now is it's much softer. It's I don't play the hard sales game. But I'm really I try to be really emotionally acute to like when to lean in, when to lean out when people aren't ready. Like because sometimes it doesn't matter if the person's not ready and you get their walls to go up and sales resistance is high. Sometimes actually I have more people who like if I'm not closing them on that call, like they'll come around and it's like, hey, because you didn't like pressure me, like that's what really made me want to come back. So there's layers to it. But I think some people who go at this from the standpoint of like you have to be killing and closing all the time, I think people feel that. So a lot of it was a lot of reframing, a lot of like how to conduct the sales call, then a lot of like tonalities, the kind of questions to ask them, things like that. Like when it got to the point where we're just asking the right questions, they basically sold themselves. It was, hey, I need this information for the sales call, but I also need you to hear you say this as well. Like if we don't do this, what's going to happen? Well, what's your option if we don't sign up? Like what are you going to go back? Oh, so this is like your only hope is what I'm hearing. I guess, that's a good point. I never thought about it that way. Okay, well, it's really hard to say, I'm going to think about it, So, but a lot of it was a mix of learning from all these proven people that feel aligned, that feel good to me, but then also pulling taking the gold, throw away the dirt. Whereas if especially in sales, if something doesn't feel good internally to you, there's some stuff you just got to get over. But there's also a level of some stuff may not be aligned for you. Some people crush with Grant Cardone, Andy Elliott style sales. That will never be me. That's too forcing for me. But for some people, like it's like, cool, you want to do it? No? Okay, that's fine too. Like for real, it's totally cool. Like Alex Hormozi says, the person who is who has the least amount of like who cares the least wins. Like whoever can walk away the most wins the sales game. So
My favorite thing about Coach Catalyst.
One of the things I love most about Coach Catalyst.
There are lots of things I love about Coach Catalyst.
And the reason why I love Coach Catalyst is that
the accountability off the back of that
is simplicity.
The support is amazing.
It allows me to give so much of me to my clients.
It's the drip feeding of content.
I can schedule lessons for my clients in advance.
Game changer for freeing up time.
It gives me my time back.
It's so simple and so easy.
Hi, I'm Kane, the founder of Coach Catalyst, the #1 accountability and communication software on the market today. We help coaches just like you keep their clients accountable and scale their business beyond what they've ever been able to do before. So if that sounds like something you want, let's take a look at how we can help. So Coach Catalyst was built on the 4 C's of coaching. Those are content, communication, community, and consistency. So for content, you need to go beyond just workouts and deliver the whole experience for the client so they get the results they deserve. For communication, you need to own your communication. If you don't own the communication, you don't own the client. So make sure you stop texting clients and use a centralized platform. For communities, get off of Facebook groups and take ownership over your social group with Coach Catalyst communities. And for consistency, the foundation of all results for clients, we took the best-selling book Atomic Habits and built all these fundamentals right within our app that's going to guarantee to get your clients the best results possible. If you want to start using the 4 C's with your clients, content, connection, community, and consistency, make sure you run over to Coach Catalyst and start a free trial today.
No, I like it. So you're building the kind of what's called the team model with assistant coaches, and you grew that to like a really big business. Like at its peak, what was your guys' like revenue per month?
My highest month was over 100. Like our highest month was over 100. Like we were averaging like during was like let's say 50 to 60, 70, but like there, like, I think my highest like 30-day period was like 116,000 over the course of like 2 years. I mean, I built it to like a 7-figure thing in 2 years.
Right.
Like the two, like two, not right now, but like the last 2 years, it was like 1.4, 1.5, something like that in sales in top line revenue. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, a significant business.
Yeah.
And then you had a moment where you're like, okay, this isn't right for me, or I don't want to go down this path anymore. Because most people, I mean, if you built a business like that, you feel like maybe you've made it. You found a level of success. But you found that once it got bigger, maybe there were more headaches than success.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's like I literally did everything. Like when I say like I like vision boarded this shit, like I literally did everything I wanted to do, and then I go, I don't think I want this anymore. It's interesting. And it was a balance of all of it. It was also what it takes to maintain the model I had now versus 3 years ago is totally different. You know what I mean? Like customer buying cycles were different, the market was different. You know, things. It's why I think we've always got to be in a state of being adaptable, right? Like we had like the pre-COVID and COVID bubble where like you could like post one thing on Instagram and like 100 people would sign up for coaching. Literally, I remember when I was at my peak on TikTok, because when I went viral on TikTok for a while, where like every video was like 50 to 100K views, like every video. And it literally got to the point I would do this. Hey, client spots open, apply at the link in my bio, 100 applications the next day. No exaggeration. Wow. Like it got to the point I had to charge for consultations because I couldn't, like I'm organic, 0 paid ads, 0 launches. It got to the point where I had so many organic applications, I had to charge $50 to get on my calendar because there was so much I couldn't handle it. Like it was crazy. So I wish I knew better of sales back when that was happening. Like I don't even want to think about it. But like it's different now. You know, some people's trust cycles are longer, buying cycles are longer. You know, people are the most skeptical. I believe people are the most skeptical now than they've ever been, like in the last 7 years, right? Mm-hmm. So with that being said, it takes a lot more to maintain the business of that size, right? So that was part of it. But then I just found the more people I added, the more I'm like, I don't even know if this is worth it. It takes a lot more bandwidth on everything, on mental and emotional, stress, what like actual duties and things like that. And I go, you know, I don't know if I want to do this. And as you take an assistant coach model bigger, then like from a margin perspective, it's like, by the time like you pay every person, you pay the call center, you pay the salesperson, you pay the coach, like in just from that side of things, it's like margins are chipping away to where it's like, was this even worth that amount of money? And let alone the other things, like all the other stuff that adds up, like because you have to have the infrastructure to support a team of, let's say, 10 to 15 people, right? So like all the softwares, all of the profiles, all of the like all that stuff over time, it adds up from a marginal perspective as well, let alone what it took to do that. So for me, it just got to the point that I go, what do I want? Because I for the longest time I could feel this coming up, and I've been running from it because there's a level of ego in this for me. I think that I didn't realize is I saw all these other coaches, like they built that what I did, and then they one day had a breakdown. They're like, burn the thing to the ground. And I go, I'm better than them. They were weak. I'm special. Like I can do this. And it just hit me. I go, I don't want to build a business I'll resent. That was literally it. I had, you know, once you do all this inner work, you can't like run away from these things anymore. Like the more introspective, like I teach this stuff. So it's like all these things are coming up. I go, okay, I guess this isn't what I wanted anymore. But it's like anything else. I don't want to just stay here because like, oh, well, I've been here for so long. Let me just stay here. It's kind of like I think building a business is like raising a kid sometimes. And you don't want to raise a kid that you think is an asshole. Right? Like my older brother, like his oldest is 3 and we were talking about parenting stuff and he goes, I don't want to raise a kid that I don't like. Like that's one of his big filters is if I wouldn't like this, I don't want to raise a kid I don't like. I don't want to raise this kid that's an asshole. I don't want to build a business I resent. I want to wake up and love going to work. For me, don't get me wrong. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Entrepreneurship is meant to be hard. But if the premise of it you're not happy with, change it. And for me, it got to the point where I think that's where I was at. And so I didn't want to wait till I needed to burn the thing to the ground. I want to go, all right, this isn't what I want. I've been sitting on these feelings for about 6 to 8 months. what do I need to do to pivot? What would be the business of my dreams? What would be the ones I would love to wake up to happy every day? Cool. What do I need to do and pivot to change this, before it reaches the point of like, dude, I've had friends who built 7-figure businesses and they woke up and fired everyone. They're like, panic attack, fire everyone, burn this thing to the ground. I didn't want to go that far. I go, okay, I can see where this is going. I'm not happy. What do I need to do to make this where I have a business that I'm happy, it's profitable, and I get to build it on my terms still. So,
I mean, with the team model, did you feel like there was kind of that at the beginning, like you were happy with it, and then it kind of got to a point where it was just like, I'm just not happy with it anymore? Or was it just like, hey, this is the way I've seen other people successful with this, and this is kind of what the top of the mountain looks like, and this is how they built it, so that's the way I need to build it in order to get there?
I think both. I think it was a level of both. I think it was, because that's the thing is I still have a team now. It's just differently formatted, right? Like I still think if anyone wants to build anything huge, like that's the thing is I see a lot of people, they have these huge goals, especially in the coaching space. They're like, I want to build this massive thing, but then they have a hard time with it. And then they convince themselves, you know what, I'll be happy with whatever, 10K a month. When it's like, no, you can still make this thing big. Just build it on the way that you want to build it, right? Have the scale the way you want to scale it. Because I can also tell you now, I would not have been what I'm building now. How I'm building it now, what I did over the last 3 or 4 years, built the version that's in front of Jared, that's in front of you right now. Like, dude, I'm like when it comes to business and being resourceful and creating things and like speaking and selling and doing and all the things. I've never been the most confident as I am right now. And I know exactly what I'm capable of. So now I have the confidence to go build in this stuff over here that like I'm doing now in pivoting. But like, I wouldn't have been able to do this the last 3 years. It was my current mentor, like Jason Phillips right now. We were talking about this because I had a really low moment when we were talking about this, because I opened up to him about how I was feeling in all this. And I would be lying if I didn't say a part of me felt like a failure, that I didn't make it or whatever. Because I did. It got to a really low moment where I'm like, I put a lot of meaning to this. And he basically, the way he worded it, he goes, dude, you went through, you basically, how do you word it? He basically said, over the last 3 years, you've made the most ridiculous amount of money to learn how to be a business person. That's a really good way to put it. Like years ago, I heard Ed Milet say, entrepreneurship is the greatest self-development program with the highest compensation plan. Right. Like I literally made a couple $1 million over the last couple of years to learn how to be a savage in marketing and branding and business and sales and entrepreneurship crash course. Right. So I wouldn't knowing what I know now, I wouldn't take back anything. I anything at all, because it built these skills that I needed now, especially in the economy now, especially with the uncertainty now. I feel much more ready to handle literally anything than I did 3 years ago.
I'd recommend this to any coaches or even clinicians out there that are looking to build a business around a product that they already really believe in.
As a brand new user, just being sold on the streamline of being able to put everything in a centralized location. Anyone that is just fumbling with Google Sheets to Facebook messages, group messaging, text messaging.
For anybody that wants to be able to coach their clients, many times you use different tools and resources, and when you're trying to manage that, even on a Google Sheet or on regular technology, you're limited on duplicating the data over and over.
I think if I'm going to, recommend the app for anyone, it's going to be myself. If I want to take my business to the next level, so definitely looking to do that in the near future here. Everybody can really benefit from it. I use it in the rehab sphere, but I also utilize it in the training thing. You can do the same thing with nutrition, right? There's so many uses for it.
For everybody, coaches, clinicians, anyone that kind of works in the industry, chiros, PTs, trainers.
This is one simple solution that we can create to all of our users and all our clients.
So if you want to create a way to systematize your business so you can scale, I have not seen a better product for that.
So let's talk a little bit about that transition, because most of your kind of transitions up to this point have been like, hey, I'm going to keep this thing going, then I'm going to build this thing a year, right? But this one was maybe a little bit different.
Yeah, this one's scary, dude. This one was like I made sure I had money in the bank because we're going to take a little bit of a hit. So with this one, this one was a little bit more scary. This one was because I wanted to basically make this transition without everything floundering. And it's been going well. It's still it was hard regardless, but going from these much higher numbers as far as revenue and all this stuff to now like getting away from one-on-one coaching, not getting away from it. When I say, so here's the transition for context for everyone. Instead of scaling out the assistant coach model, mind you, the last several years, I haven't taken on any clients because I've been in business mode. I've been in scale mode to build the business because I feel kind of like an asshole. Like my coaches need more clients, but no, let me take the next 20. Like that's kind of an asshole move and not a good leader move in my opinion. So I hadn't taken on any clients so I could just build the business. So now what I did was to help float revenue and to get this back in the swing of things. I basically I wanted to get away from the assistant coach model. And I wanted to go in this group model because the thing is, for the longest time, I felt like I am not utilizing my unique gifts. I feel like this is going to sound super egotistical or super cocky. I feel like I literally can make magic happen in front of people, right? Like it's why I fixed, like things, the timelines I told you about earlier, like decades of binge eating in 3 months or whatever, all these different things. But then I also know I have something special that happens when I speak one to many. I've always felt like I have this gift of transforming and changing mass amounts of people at once. And I've said for years in like my friend and mentorship circles, I'm like, I just wish I could just create content and do what I want to do because I feel like there's a level there that I can. So I go, what if I built that? What if I built a coaching group? Because I'd also been part of some other business coaching groups in the past, and I loved it. So what if I built a coaching group that it made these things that I do in one-on-one coaching, that now I have a track record of proven systems and frameworks in one-on-one coaching by the hundreds of client numbers. So all my frameworks and all the IP, if you will, is proven. What if I put that in a group coaching format? But I also didn't want this to be super cheap either. I didn't want another $10 a month, $40 a month thing. I go, what if I do a moderate ticket group coaching program where it's affordable enough where people who are serious can make it happen, but it still pushes away the people who would be wishy-washy. And then I ran this thing from a coaching group side of things. That was an ongoing thing because whenever I would do like challenges or mini cohort groups, I would sell them out in like a couple of days. So I go, what if I did it this way? Because when I sat down with Jason specifically, and I go, what would be the business of my dreams? And I basically put it on paper. And that's what I basically have been going full force into. So because I also believe internally when we are stepping into what we feel in highest alignment, like the universe helps make that happen. It's a personal belief of mine because that's what I feel like. I think that's why I've been also so successful in every transition is because I went with what felt aligned. I wanted to go towards this. And that stopped feeling aligned. Then this felt aligned. That stopped feeling aligned. Then this felt aligned. And so this is my most recent one. And I know I'm going to be doing this until I die. But that's why, for me, that's what I did. So what felt aligned was getting away from the group coaching model. Or I'm sorry, the one-on-one assistant coach model. So what I did was, so during that transition, I basically have all these coaches, though, that have been with me since day one, and I'm a big loyalty guy. So what I basically did was, once I decided this is what's going to happen, I wanted to do right by them. So I basically had one-on-one conversations with all of them. This was the worst week of my life. Full transparency, this was the hardest week I've ever had. And I basically let them know where I was at, what's going on. But to make sure to do right by them, instead of just like 2-week notice cutting them off, what I did was I say, cool, here's what we're going to do. You're going to run out your current client contracts until they are done. So this way, some of them had like a year left with a lot of people, whereas this way they had plenty of time. So they're good financially. And I also offered to open up the door because of how connected I am in the coaching space. If any of them wanted to stay in the coaching space, I have friends who are all trying to hire. So I did that for the ones that wanted it. I literally hooked them up with jobs and things are thriving with them and whatnot. So I did that on that front. So then now the pressure was off there. And then it was time to start building. And then that's when I basically opened up my own roster to help float revenue, because if I just cut off all this, I wanted to make sure to float revenue still okay. So I brought on my own roster of clients at a higher ticket. And then that's when I started building out the group, the coaching group that I call the collective now. And then, yeah, that's where that transition happened.
Were you able to transition a lot of the one-to-one clients into the collective, or were they just kind of different clients? Because one-to-one people don't necessarily want group stuff.
It's both. Some wanted to move over, but also some were still in the middle of a contract, right? Actually, they were all in the middle of a contract. So the nice thing is, we did have clients who were still on paid in fulls, but then most of those clients were all monthly, whatever. So the business was still making revenue from it, but but it was still a little bit different kind of setup. So those clients were already taken care of, and those were already with their coaches. So that's when some of them wanted to come over to the collective, because I also offered a deal for clients that wanted to move over and whatnot. So then as those clients are ending their contracts, some of them are coming to the collective. Some of them are just done. We're kind of playing it case by case.
So let's talk through a little bit of kind of revenue models, because that's kind of evolved over the years as well. And so, were you doing a lot of like paid in fulls with the assistant coach model?
Especially in the beginning. Like that was I didn't know anything but literally, I had a lot of lack going on in my head, so I wanted to secure all the money up front. So, but also like because of the way if we want to call it the market bubble, like it was easier to do that. People whenever I was at the highest, people would follow me for 2 weeks and fork over 3 to 5K. Paid in full, no questions asked. But then as the market shifted, as the bubble popped, as politics got kind of wild, people started getting a little bit scared with their money. So we had to cut all sorts. Like I was cutting crazy deals where not like discounting coaching, but like let's do a split payment. Let's do 4 bigger payments, or let's do a big down payment and monthly on the rest. And it got messy. So I learned to keep my accounting way freaking tighter. That was a nightmare. But then that got to such a point where I wanted to go completely reoccurring model, because as things shifted, it seemed to work better. People preferred it. People stayed longer, things like that.
So explain to us a little bit about what the kind of reoccurring model means for you now.
So here's how I run it, because everyone runs it a little bit different. My model is depending on like if we're doing a promo or not. Like someone would go, let's say a down payment and a monthly with me. Like if I go, cool, coaching's $1,500 down and $800 a month, like it's just random numbers, then there'd be a balance of a little bit of a down payment, which makes it also harder for them to cancel in like 2 months because that's a hell of a 2 months. But then there's like a reoccurring side of it. Or if I'm running like a promo, like a scholarship or like a challenge, sign up thing, whatever, I can price anchor and get rid of the enrollment fee and go right into the monthly. This way, from a monthly reoccurring revenue standpoint, it's predictable. And it also kind of just becomes part of their monthly expenses. And it also leaves less of an end date vibes versus when someone signed up for coaching, I can go, cool, we can sign up for 6 months or 12 months. And then there was a deal on the 12 months, which I always thought was weird, because it's almost like, especially if you, running the assistant coach model, it would because the coach wouldn't make as much on that. So it would almost penalize the coach for keeping their client longer, which I always thought was kind of weird. But this way, it's a little bit more flexible, because I don't know about everyone else. I've found people will tell me this on a sales call. Some people want me with them until the last pound comes off, which is great. But some people are like, I want out as soon as possible because y'all are expensive. And I get that too. And I believe, there's a level of that. But this way people can stay in it as long as they need. Also, there's been plenty of time where people sign up for 6 months and they need 8 months of coaching, but they're like, and it gets kind of sticky, versus with this, we can just let it run and whatnot.
So you're leaving it open-ended right from the beginning.
I have a minimum. I do have a minimum. So like I do have a contract where everything I do is a 6-month minimum, right?
Okay.
But like 6-month minimum, 60-day cancellation notice. So this way, hey, I will not take you on if you do not sign up for 6 months minimum. And so then I at least have that's pretty well guaranteed. But then I'm also attracting crazy high quality clients, because the right clients go, that's fair. I totally get it. And versus the people like, well, can you do it for 3? Like, I don't want those as clients. So,
and at this point, you don't really cut deals. You kind of keep it. Here's our pricing, and take it or leave it.
Right. The only time there's times I will. It depends on the situation. Like if I see someone, with my one-on-one coaching, I don't cut any deals whatsoever. My demand is stupid high, and I publicly say I keep my roster small on purpose. I pride myself on being accessible, all that stuff in my marketing. Whereas I don't want this massive roster of one-on-one clients. I want it. My personal one-on-one is small. I keep it much higher ticket and all these things. So people know that coming into it. The only time I will cut deals is actually in my collective. If I see someone, like I've had people who can't make it happen. They're trying every which way possible, but me dropping the rate by just a little bit and say, just don't tell anybody. Don't tell everyone else. But because it still works on the margin, but it also doesn't, I don't do really any more work just for them being in there. And if I feel like actually helping that person, I will, but otherwise I don't want to be known as the person that will haggle by any means.
Right. How many clients do you feel like you can handle in a one-on-one setting, along with supporting the collective, and still have a life?
So how many I can I versus want I, how many I can versus want are two different things. How many I mean, I could probably handle, like, let's say I could probably do like 50, 60, 70 clients, but I don't think I would enjoy it. I think it would be a lot. For me personally, I want to keep my one-on-one roster around 20. Where I just want mostly open calendars. That's all I want. I want mostly open calendars where I spend the majority of my days doing the things that I want to do. I want to be doing stuff like this. I want to be doing podcasts. I want to be traveling. I want to be networking. I want to be creating content. I want to be doing those things. And so that's why I want to keep my roster small, but then put all my efforts in the collective and run the numbers in there. That's the biggest thing. So,
as a coach that runs challenges, I needed my life back. I had stuff all over the place. A Facebook group for community interaction, Google Sheets for check-ins and measurements, and was drowning in email communication. As my challenges grew past just a handful of people, I started to notice clients were falling through the cracks. I began researching virtual assistants because I just couldn't manage it all. And truthfully, the client experience was going down the drain. Luckily, a friend recommended Coach Catalyst and just told me to trust her. I'm sure glad I did. Now I can run my challenges with 2 or 200 clients with just a few clicks. The lessons get delivered on the right days, the accountability happens automatically, and most importantly, the communication is all in one spot. I even created 2 new challenges from the Coach Catalyst library. Best part, didn't have to change a thing. I used to spend 15 minutes just trying to log into all the apps I needed. Now I log in and my dashboard tells me who needs a shout out and who needs a kick in the butt in about 15 seconds. I feel like a huge weight is lifted off of my shoulders. I can finally spend my time coaching again instead of worrying about all the admin work. Do your brain a favor and get Coach Catalyst.
So, let's talk about the group model a little bit, because, the group model has really been around since the beginning of the internet. But the group model, the challenge with the group model is retention. And so because it is this kind of recurring, it's not one-to-one, there's not as much individualization, right? I maybe don't have as much connection. So how are you kind of getting around that biggest hurdle of retaining people long enough to make it actually worth it?
Yeah, so that is the game. So for me, I'm basically bringing, because I run my group quite a bit different than a lot of the other groups that I see and that I've been part of. So for me, it's about bringing a lot of the one-on-one feel to a group model, but still making it scalable. So for example, it's not just me in the group. I do have another coach that's in the group that helps me with support. So it's not just me in there trying to fulfill all this. So number one, I want it to be ultra exclusive, where as soon as they quit, they get all the toys get taken away, right? So everything in the group is extremely exclusive, from the community, from the members, to the content and everything that goes into it. Because my goal is I want people coming back to the app, coming back to what we use. So this way it's hard for them to fathom doing this without that, right? Everything from the culture in the support, everything from that to the frameworks, to the calls, to the access, all these things. Because I also know everyone joins, like, I'm sure this is all groups, but I can only speak to my group for different reasons. Some people join it because of the access I have to me and my team. Some people join it because of the special calls we have. Some people join it because of the resources, whatever. But also, I don't want it to be just a resources thing, right? Because you can get resources anywhere, even if, they're exclusive, they're special, whatever. But still, I want it to be more than just an information thing. So I think number one, culture is big. If that's what separates a lot, is that special feel that goes into it, and people thrive in having the right kind of culture. Number two is I do want it from an accountability and an access standpoint, whereas we do make it, because one of the things that makes one-on-one so great is the accountability, is the support with the coach. So I bring in scalable models inside my group. So for example, because of the software, because we're using it inside Coach Catalyst, we have a lot of automation things that makes it really one-to-one feel, where it can make it in real time to really make this scalable. So for example, we actually even have check-ins in my group. They're not like a one-on-one client check-in, but every week, every member gets a text message from us saying, hey, time for your check-in. Update me how this week goes, the good, the bad, give me some feedback. And so in real time, all of our members will, in a one-on-one fashion, DM us all this stuff. So then me and my support team can go in, fire back voice memos to each of those. It takes 30 seconds. But the amount of people go, oh my gosh, I can't believe you took the time out of your day to text me and check on me and give me a voice memo response. Took 30 seconds a person, right? So there's stuff like that we'll do, or I'm big on how that person's experience as soon as they join. So as soon as someone joins, we have a welcome video sequence that makes that like preaches the culture, that gets them engaging, shows them exactly what we're there to do. That you and I talked about in the beginning, we have to make this ultra hand holding. So there's not a second where they go, I don't know what to do. So in ours, we actually take it a little bit further. We have like 7 or 8 days of videos on how to get the most out of the group and setting expectations, really solidifying the collective, also, or the culture, also starting them out on homework. Cool. I want you to do this now. Cool. Tomorrow, I want you to do this. I want you to do this. And then it all ends on an assessment. So after their first week in the group, they get an automated assessment on their end of the app going, hey, it's time for your assessment. We want to make sure you're getting started on the right foot. Fill this out and then message us telling us that you finished it. They'll do it. And we'll send them a Loom response of like, cool, we'll go through the assessment with them and then say, cool, here's what your next 6 months looks like a high level overview. So we're also setting expectations. We're also giving them an actual plan of attack. It's not crazy tailored like a one-on-one coaching thing, but it's saying, hey, I think for the first 3 months, you should focus on this. Go use these resources, go use this stuff. Here's your main focus. So there's a level of individualization in this, especially while it's smaller right now, where we want to establish this culture and this vibe in it. But then after that, people are like, I can't believe you took that long to do that. Oh my gosh, that's great. But they have their plan. Now I'm literally like crafting my ideal client. So they're not high maintenance. So they don't come back with a million questions. So we did that one thing in their set. But then from a sales, if you will, without being salesy, I literally set their expectation for the next 6 months. Right. So now we're already talking in that verbiage, and then we're going to be stacking wins and doing all those things. So now they associate in their brain, oh, I stay here, good things happen. I stay here, good things happen. Because the other thing I talk about when they join is this what I call the campfire model, whereas the safest place is by, like, if you're out in the wilderness, the safest place is by the campfire. If you start going out in the darkness where it's cold, you don't have food, you don't have shelter, you don't have fire, the jaguar eats you. But but I talk about it from a collective standpoint is we are the campfire. So the longer you're here, the longer you stay, this is where you're safest. This is where your resources are. This is where your support system's at. So I teach that over, and I reinforce that messaging over and over again. And so they eat, sleep, and breathe it. And so one thing leads to the other, and then they stay longer. But then the other thing that we do is I about every couple months, I'm doing a poll like, cool, what do you like most about the group that you do not want change? What's something you would like to see change? What's something that's not in here at all that you would like to see? Like these kind of questions. That's where the check-in came from. One of the members said, hey, an automated check-in would be great. Right. So now they're blown away at that and these kind of things. So those are some of the things that I've done that's been that I've noticed a massive difference with.
So, I mean, it's really taking personal touches and finding ways to scale them. It's not just like, hey, welcome to the membership site. Here's all our resources. Go through whatever you want to go through. You're actually like holding their hand through the process, but doing it in a scalable way where, yes, there is going to be some work, right? You're going to have to leave some voice memos. You're going to do all this kind of stuff. But my guess is you wouldn't be creating this to just like set it and forget. Like you want to be involved in the process.
Right. Well, and the truth is, I don't think I could, at least not at the price point I sell it at, I don't think I could do it, set it and forget about it. Right. People who do that, where they're like, their group program is like a Facebook group with a once every 2 week live with nothing else. They're charging $10 a month, $20 a month, maybe $50 a month. And if they have a huge audience, cool, that might work. But I think you're going to see a higher churn rate because no one's, what's keeping that person in there? No one's checking on them. No one's doing whatever. I would rather charge more, make it, because my thing is I've always personally charged on the upper side of the industry. When the industry was lower, I was still charging higher. Even right now, I'm still on the upper end of the industry. It's like normal rates because that's just what I feel most aligned with. I don't want to be the middle of the road coach or the race to the bottom coach in terms of finances. So my group is no different, even though, yes, it's more affordable than one-on-one. It's still enough to make someone go, okay, am I actually going to give a damn? Because I also want serious people in there because I have to be careful with the culture. So with that, I also make sure I have my margins in check where I can have the support in there. So where I have another coach helping with these voice memos, helping with these assessments. So that way we're still operating at like 90% gross profit margins. Whereas the people are getting what they need as well, because I'm also teaching this deep stuff as well. It's not like I'm just macros and forget about it. It's this deeper stuff as well, which is going to require a level of not one-on-one, of actual work in the trenches. So
are you then providing kind of like real-time content for them as well, recording videos on this and creating resources and frameworks that you're then teaching within this group?
Yep, we're doing that, but also I'm making it where it saves me time in the long run. So I basically know so if I basically have like every issue or question or struggle they're going to have, I have a framework for it. So instead of me having to leave these 10-minute long videos giving all this teaching, I go, oh, go watch this in the vault. Oh, great question. We just did a training on that. It's in the vault. Oh, we talked about on that last night's coaching call. It's in the vault. So this way, there's a lot more of a culture of we ask for what we need, then we go do the work. That's what my goal is. I wanted to build a culture of the client asks for what they need, but then also is willing to go do it on their own. I almost saw like the group's called the Dieting from the Inside Out Collective. I almost called it the Self-Coaching Collective because that's what I'm like trying to train these people to do is they need me and the program to like have the stuff, but they're also learning to become effective on their own as well. So, but for a little more context.
So for you, I mean, how much time does this take you then on a daily basis or a weekly basis to check all the boxes and do what you need to do from a coaching business standpoint?
Not as much. It's actually like the nice thing is there's a lot of this stuff because anytime you have something like this, there's going to be a level of members who are very active, very, very high touch, asking for doing all the things. And there's going to be a level that don't. Right. I always, because I have it also in the welcome course when they watch it, is I want them to view this as, coming in to get what they need when they need it. Like I always say, you don't go to the gym and feel like you have to use every single treadmill, every single barbell, every dumbbell, every toilet, every shower. You go in on the days you train and you use what you need when you need it. You leg day, you do these 3 leg pieces of equipment, whatever. So I talk about it in the group. It's the same way. You come in, you use what you need. If you're in a season where you need to be on these calls, be on these calls. If you're in a season where you just need access to us when stuff comes up, message us, these kind of things. So with that, from a time perspective, it's nothing that crazy right now. Now, it's still small. We're still like in the 50s members-ish from a numbers perspective. So it's still newer. It's still not at scale. I'm looking at like when we're like around like 500 I'm curious what that'll look like. But I'm building it from a standpoint of like, would this be scalable at 500 members? Would this be scalable at 700 members? Where I know it'll come to a point where I'll have to bring on like another coach in this. Right. But knowing what I know now, I'm going to hire way slower. I'm going to make sure the one guy that's in here is at his pretty well max capacity before I do that. So he's still secure and taken care of. And then we're keeping margins at an all-time high. So
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is room for opportunity.
It's badass.
It's fucking awesome.
Over-delivered. They talked about it and they definitely did it. Is amazing. It's just been invigorating.
Is exemplary. It's phenomenal and just a great time with great people. And you feel like in Ohana, you feel like a family.
It's unreal.
Is awesome. What will help separate the 1% from the 99% is a really well thought out event, well conceived, well planned, and well executed.
It's such an amazing event to be at in order to grow your business and network with other professionals.
It is top tier. It's one of the best I've been to in the business. It's been unbelievable, and I'm just excited to finish out the day here and keep making connections.
It's an event that you will be very happy that you have attended because next year is going to be even better than this one.
Is freaking badass. If you're not here, you're missing out. See you next year.
Yeah. So, I mean, the shift for you ultimately is better margins, more scalability, and probably just a better overall lifestyle because you're not necessarily one-to-one with so many people. There's maybe not as much expectation on that anymore.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So
cool, man. So if you were consulting with a new coach, I mean, what would be, and they're like, hey, I want to get into this online game, right? What would be some of the first couple things that you might drop for them?
For context, they like ground zero. They're not, nothing's going on.
Let's say like ground zero. They haven't trained people offline yet.
They need to start training people for free to get their feet wet and to start getting a social proof and start documenting all of that. Like that's one of the most overlooked things, taking on clients for free, quality clients for free. So you get good as a coach, you get your feet wet and realize like, oh, they need more support here. Oh, they don't need as much support there. So you get your feet wet where you become a savage at getting results, but then document the whole process, right? We need to be creating content, building awareness, but then documenting around this stuff. from a social media standpoint in marketing, so people know and see the process of how you create results, as well as showing that you actually are really, really good at creating results. I think that's where I like that. That's where I would start.
Do you think if someone wants to be an online coach, they need to spend some time in the offline world coaching people before they move into the online world? Or do you think a coach can make that jump right away?
I used to think yes. I used to think like it's a non-negotiable. I don't agree with that anymore. When I had my team at the highest, like most of them never trained people in person, because I think that's the thing is being a personal trainer in person and just putting someone through workouts versus coaching someone in nutrition and headspace stuff online is very, very different. Right? The dynamic's totally different. So I don't think it correlates quite as much. But I think any of the experiences like that helps. I think it also helps you stand out because most online coaches never have trained people in person. Like for me, I trained 6 years in person. Like I was a personal trainer 5 or 6 years by hundreds of people. So I was really confident going into online because I already were creating results for people and things like that. So I think it helps, but I don't think it's a requirement.
And how about like going with this idea of like a niche, right? Because I think that's something a lot of people struggle with, especially standing out in the online world because it is a sea of all of these people.
Yeah.
How do you go about thinking about like a niche and thinking about people to kind of work with?
I think it's a dichotomy. I think people over niche down like crazy. I think the amount of people who spend like all this time redefining their ICA is a waste of time. It's like writing a to-do list you never accomplish. It feels productive, but you never do anything with it. But I do think it's important. Like I remember when I started, I was like, oh yeah, I specialize in muscle building and fat burning and powerlifting and bodybuilding and sports performance. I specialize in everything. So like, is that really a specialty? You know? So I think you need to have a general niche. Are you the fat loss person? Are you the lifestyle person? Are you I optimize your schedule person? Like, what is your main, like if someone came to me and says, hey, I'm all about athletic performance and I want to become crazy strong for rock climbing. Okay, we can start, but I'm not a rock climbing, like sports performance guy. That's not what I am at all. So I could help that person, but like, I would also be like, yo, that's not my specialty. But the sports specific coach over here might be a better fit, right? So I think there needs to be a level of what you help the most with.
I like it.
Right. But I don't think we need an over niche where it's like, I work with 30 to 33.5-year-old menopausal females, you know, unless you're super established, unless you've been in this game for a while. I think having a rough ballpark of like what part of Gen Pop you help, or do you help Gen Pop or bodybuilders? Like, you know, I think like those categories, but I don't think in the beginning you need to niche down anything wild.
So, I mean, when you're coming to content, then let's say you have a general idea of who you're working. How do you think about creating content?
What problems is your person facing? That is it. Like literally, like the easiest way to get into content is like, yes, you need to be charismatic. Yes, you need to have good hooks. Yes, you need to be funny. But no one pays you to be funny. No one pays you. The only reason someone pays a coach is to solve problems really, really well. So become an assassin at solving problems. When you don't know what to post, solve a problem. Here's how to stop emotional eating in less than 3 minutes. Here's the 5 reasons you gain your weight back that you don't even realize are happening. Right? Like what problems is your person facing that they're aware that, and they may not even be aware they're facing. Hey, you're not losing weight because of these things that you don't even know are happening. Right? Like, solve the problems that your person faces. That's it. That's the easiest way to make content. Write down 30 problems and 30 solutions. There's your first month worth of content.
And would you do that on every platform? Do you pick, you know, IG and Facebook, TikTok? Do you do email? How would you kind of advise a new coach on creating content?
It depends what's sustainable. If it's a newer coach, it's less is more. It's like a client that's never been consistent, trying to be consistent with their nutrition and training 5 days a week and walking and Zumba and the paleo diet while fasting. Like it's too much. I think you need to pick one or two main platforms. I mean, I think you need to pick one main platform and take that content and just literally half-ass throw it on everything else. Like right now, my main short form platform is Instagram. So for me, I design my stuff for Instagram. But when I take my Instagram Reels, I absolutely reshare those to YouTube Shorts and Facebook Reels and TikTok. They're already made, but I'm not making 4 different. I'm not making 4 different pieces of content for all of them. Like I'm not Gary Vee. Don't have a team of 35 people. I prioritize one major top of funnel source which is like one of like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. And then once I go, that's what I'm going all in on. And then I just cross-pollinate that stuff elsewhere because you never know how it's going to do.
Right.
I've had posts that I'm like, this will crush, and it bombed on Instagram, but went viral on TikTok. I'm like, okay, I got it backwards apparently. So, but then I do also think you need to have a longer form nurture long game, whether that be, I think you need an email. I think everyone needs an email list. Everyone needs to be in email marketing where you have I view it as insurance, nothing else. If you don't even write to your email list, having a lead magnet where you are getting email addresses, it's going to save you when the TikTok has a meltdown or when Instagram goes down. Like literally, actually at the last event, I think at the last coaching con where I saw you at, my Instagram got hacked and my Instagram was down for the entire 4 days. It was a pain, but I wasn't worried because I have a massive fucking email list that I've been building for the last decade, right? So I wasn't stressed. It was annoying, but I wasn't like, oh, my business is at stake. But if your whole lead sources are from Instagram, like you're asking for danger, you know, so.
And so do you email frequently to your list, or you just take basically the content you're creating on Instagram and it'd be like, hey, check out, I just made this new reel on Instagram. Here's the link, or are you creating different content there?
Personally, I write 5 days a week to my email list. I have a super high volume list. But I've also like trained my reader list to do that because of how powerful email is and the mentors I listen to in that. I write 5 days a week to my email list. I don't suggest most people do that right out of the gate. That's a lot. That's a lot of content, as well as I started off being once a week for years, then a couple times a week for years. Then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna write Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So it's like anything else. Like don't go to that unless you're super consistent and good at it and get good feedback. But right now, one of the areas the last 2 years I've poured more into than ever is copywriting. So I write 5 days a week and it performs very well. So.
What's your process for that? Are you batching that and writing all 5 emails? Are you writing the night before or the morning of?
Morning of. I go, what do I feel like talking to? It depends. If I have like a really specific marketing calendar, I obviously will tailor that to that. Or if I have a launch coming up, like it's a little bit more strategic. But if everything's chill, I literally go, I notice what performs the best is in what do I feel right now? What do I feel like writing? I've never been good at batching content. I'm like, oh, I got an idea. I got to go film. Right? I've never been good at like, let me batch all this stuff together. It just doesn't. It's just never been, it feels too much in the box for me. But I know some people that thrive on it. So.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool, man. All right. Well, let's finish up with some just kind of rapid fire stuff. Yeah. Taco, burrito, or quesadilla?
Burrito.
Burrito? You're an East Coast guy, right?
Indiana, bud.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of Midwest. You're not really. Midwest. We'll claim you as the Midwest. So, all right. Burrito is acceptable then.
Okay, I'm a messy eater. That's why. Like tacos go everywhere. Quesadillas ooze on the sides. Burritos, it's not getting on my shirt. That's literally the number one reason.
Yeah, I'm a volume guy, and so that's why I go with burrito. I mean, I feel like I get the max amount of calories in a nice handheld shape. All right. Anything you've purchased recently for like $100 or less that you feel like has had a ton of value in your life, or even any books that maybe you've recently read that you feel like are a good one to recommend?
$100 purchase is the actual back of my phone. I used to use a pop socket. This is called a love handle. It's like a rubber band that works.
Oh, interesting.
But it's got a powerhouse magnet. And I cannot tell you how many times, whether creating content, I'm at the gym and I need to put this somewhere because I don't want to squat with it in my pocket. And it's got a super magnet, so I can literally stick it like anywhere.
That's awesome.
I don't think I could not have a magnetic back of phone now.
I would agree with you. I've got the same. Mine's a little bit older, not quite as powerful, but like it's so nice to just be able to stick it to the racks and stuff. But
like, dude, this thing is so.
I lose it though all the time now because I just stick it wherever.
Like this thing is so powerful. On the corner of a wall, when a drywaller puts that metal piece, it will stick through the drywall onto that. Like I'll just be filming content. I'll be like bink, or like my buddy FaceTimes me, and I'll just go bink on the wall. It's that powerful. That's beautiful.
Awesome. Yeah. I love it. All right. If you were reincarnated as an animal based on your personality, what kind of animal do you come back as? First
thing that came to mind was a pit bull. I don't know why.
I like it.
I have two. I have two pit bulls, but I have very much the same personality as my male. Just a stubborn little meathead that likes to eat all day and sleep. So,
hey, man, I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Last one. If you could have dinner with anyone on the planet, past or present, who would you like to break bread with?
I don't know if you'll accept this, but myself at 80 years old.
Hey, That's it. And what would be maybe some questions you would ask?
It would be actually, I did a whole podcast on this because like my greatest, so the number one person I want to talk to is I would love to talk to is the person who is the wisest, but also has my best interest at heart, which would be myself close to death. Mm-hmm. So I would love to have a conversation with my 80-year-old self, asking for like what I can work on now. What are my gifts? What, did I make it? Did I do everything I want? Right. Like these kind of things. But it would be my 80-year-old self.
That is actually, I've never, so you're the first one that has ever said that. I've done a lot of episodes, but I think it's a really powerful concept, right? Like just a really powerful concept to think about. Like me at 80, what am I telling myself?
Yeah.
Am I on the right path? Should I do something different? Should I not worry about it at all?
Dude, I get really weird with this. Like there's some really weird mindset stuff that I do and headspace stuff. That's really like woo-woo-y that a lot of people, but it works so well for me. I've actually done like really weird meditation stuff where like I got into this super deep meditation one time. And I go and I like, for some reason, I've always been really powerful at visualizing things where I can it feels just as real. Like, I don't know, it's just this thing I can do. I literally was outside of my fire pit. I was going through some stuff and I really wish I just had some advice from like a really trusted source. So I like did this whole thing in my head where I visualized my 80-year-old self across the fire pit and I literally interviewed him in my head. It was super weird. And out of nowhere, all of this like pure wisdom I have never heard before. I wrote 3 pages of shit that this motherfucker said. And it's probably the weirdest thing I've ever done. It's the most woo-woo thing I've ever done. But dude, it was profound. I stole the idea from Napoleon Hill from some of his earlier writings. Okay. But dude, it was like, I went all in on it. Like, I don't know if it's like, who knows, God, the universe, some deep sense of knowings. I don't know. But dude, it was like the most out there stuff that I needed to hear. It was not me. It was not me talking.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. Especially, I mean, you hear about some of this stuff with using like external substances and that kind of stuff.
Or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I know meditation, especially deep levels of meditation, you can get similar kind of experiences. Mm-hmm. That's super cool that you're able to get into some of that. So awesome. Well, dude, like A+ on that answer. And that was that was awesome. All right, man. Well, we'll have this in the show notes, but if people want to kind of learn a little bit about you, where about in the world or in the internet do you live?
Real Jared Hamilton on all the socials, or my show is called Dieting from the Inside Out if you're into this kind of content. So
Cool, man. Well, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you hanging out, man, and sharing with us.
Likewise, man. I appreciate you having me.
This has been awesome. Keep killing it, dude.
Thanks, man.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Coach Catalyst podcast. If you are a coach looking to do more for your clients than just workouts, give Coach Catalyst a test drive. Try it for 14 days. Jump on call with your personal strategy coach, Ashley, and see how easy technology can be, all for free. Tell them Trevor sent you. Until next time, keep changing lives.